Okay, guys, we are back. We are live. It is Dave's LSC Chat. Hit the like, hit the share. Give us some love. Show us your love. Give us a sub. I said it backwards. In the house tonight, it is Keith at Eaton Ryan on Twitter, and it is Niall from the upper tier. Ivan Son on himself, probably watching it live by the pool, having a few beers in Sangria land, possibly. How are you, lads? All ready to rock for the new season?
No. All good?
No. Keith goes, no.
The whole thing is all over the place. I'm not nowhere near ready. Nobody's anywhere near ready.
Yeah. Look, no one's ready. Even Liverpool aren't ready. Sure, I think they're flying out. That's flying out tomorrow to Germany, I think, in that pre-season.
Yeah.
Sounds about right.
And going to rock and roll. We have Big Bad Dom in the house. And, of course, we have Alexis McAllister. They were signed pretty early, and I was hoping we'd have another one or two in. But it didn't transpire. The big news that's been breaking in the last few days, of course, is club captain Jordan Henderson is the big one. Will he go? Will he stay? I think it's like, will he go or will he stay or will he go? What's that famous song? What's that song in the 80s? The Who? Not The Who, was it? Clash.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a clash, to be honest. But, like, will he stay? Will he go? Fabinho, 40 million, 50 million, who knows? Even Thiago being touted. I think everybody's been touted the Saudi League. We talk about the Saudi influence, the Stevie G influence. But I have to start with Henderson. Keith. Henderson, what do you think? Do you think he'll go?
I think with these things, you always have to reserve a degree of judgment, I suppose, until, there's some sort of official confirmation. Otherwise, there's a huge amount of conjecture and stuff. There's definitely, I think there's way too much smoke without there being a degree of fire, to be honest with you. So there's certainly stuff going on behind the scenes. It's not out of nowhere. I think if it was absolutely like there was zero substance as captain of the club, he would have, he should have and would have come out and just, put an end to it straight away. And that hasn't happened. And it does look like there's just stuff being leaked left, right, and centre in terms of this, that, and the other. So, there's definitely something else going on behind the scenes. I think his head is definitely being turned, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
You don't know what's going on in terms of conversations around playing time when somebody's come in and put an offer in. So, listen, there's definitely something going on behind it. It's not a nothing thing. It's a question of whether, I suppose, from a financial perspective, our expectations are met. I probably expect his expectations are being met in terms of what his own salary and personal agreements are. That's already been done pretty much. And now it's a matter of them scrambling. And it does, like, reading between the lines, it looks like they're having to scramble to get that money together. It doesn't look like, they're not one of the really rich clubs. They're kind of like they're not that. So they've got a budget, and this looks like it's going to blow the budget. But listen, you don't know how much of that information is being spoon-fed to whoever's listening, to be honest with you. So I'm sure the truth will come out at some point in time. And it's difficult. It's difficult for me to say, well, we should be doing this or we should be doing that, or this is going to happen, that's going to happen without having official confirmation. It's not the first time a captain of our club has had his head turned. So you need to bear that in mind as well.
I'll tell you what it is for me. I've been listening to a lot of stuff on Twitter, the Anfield Rap and talking Redmen TV. It's chaotic, Niall. There's a chaos to our brilliant start to the project. A lot of players, I don't like calling players dead wood, but you'll know what I'm talking about. The likes of my famous, one of the best players to play for Liverpool, Arthur Mello, left. Then we had Naby Keita, Twister expertise. He left. Oxlade-Chamberlain doing the TikTok dance. He's gone. Milli Vanilli, well, I can't say anything other than absolute brilliance from him because he was a model professional. His experience is gone. And then Bobby No-Look, he's gone. I mean, that's a lot to lose. We bring in Alexis McAllister and we bring in Big Bad Dom. But that's about it. We're linked with bleeding everybody. But there's a chaotic sort of rush now. Do you not think?
Yeah, I think what's happened, there's been a lot of rumblings over the last few weeks, and it's kind of be careful what you wish for, because if you look at last season, everyone was saying, Hendo's gone, he's not up to it anymore, Fabinho's legs are gone, Thiago's injury prone, all these kind of things. And what you're seeing happening now is we know we needed a kind of a rebuild in that area, that it was exposed badly last season. And what happens is the work that's happening now, it's getting quite condensed. That should have happened over the last 3, 4, 5 transfer windows is now being poured into one. And I suppose the issue for the club at the moment, they've come back into pre-season. I'm sure they've sat down with the gaffer, and the gaffer has said, look, we're after bringing in Alexis McAllister, we're after bringing in Dominic Szoboszlai. So just to let you know, Jordan, this is the way it's going to be. If you do have an offer there, I suggest you take it, because at the moment it's going to become a headache for me, because you're going to be a bit part player. Obviously, the experience he has and stuff like that as well is key around younger players when they're coming in and stuff like that. But you know, if we wanted to go down that route and we wanted to keep experience around and stuff like that, then really what we should have done was sat down with James Milner and offered him a coaching role or something like that and keep him around it and stuff like that and all. But I don't think in the position we're in at the moment, but I think in the position we're in at the moment and the battle we have to get back to where we want to get to be challenging and silverware again and all that type of stuff, it's a very difficult balance to try and find keeping experience around and justifying it and stuff like that. And if you look at our midfield on paper was the most bloated area in terms of players, but just in terms of availability, in terms of the drop off in quality, and like Keith said as well, it's basically a case of, I think these players have gone in, they've had a conversation with the gaffer, he's laid it out.
It's all about the minutes. It's all about the minutes, isn't it? How many minutes am I going to get?
And those players really believe that they're still at the certain level of their game and their expectation and stuff like that. He can't guarantee them that. And I think we don't want to get into a situation, and I'm not comparing Jordan to Harry Maguire, we don't want a captain sitting on the bench for most of the season and that kind of thing. Yeah. And I think this deal is a fantastic deal for Jordan. I think it's a really good deal for the Saudi Pro League as well, to get a guy of the stature of Jordan Henderson in there, who still has plenty to offer in that Saudi Pro League. I think it's a real good deal for Liverpool as well, and for Jurgen Klopp. I think it solves a lot of headaches and stuff like that he would have to face down the line in terms of the captaincy, in terms of, you know, a feeling of having to give Jordan minutes and stuff like that when he may feel it's not the thing to do. His hand might be forced a little bit that way and stuff. And also for Jordan as well, in terms of, you know, you stick around long enough, you become a villain. We don't want, he's a legend of our club. His legendary status is cemented 100%. In Liverpool Football Club. Yeah. That can't be denied. It can't be touched. We don't want it tarnished. We don't want to get to a stage. You've seen what happened with Pogba at the end of his Man United career there. Lads throwing jerseys at him and all sorts of stuff and all. We don't want it to get toxic. We've seen how our fan base this season has gotten quite toxic. We've spent more time infighting against each other than we have focusing on the real issues at the club, like FSG and various things like that. And I think that's the situation. I think it was a very simple conversation with Klopp. I think Klopp has now stepped into the area where he's earning his bread, where he's having to manage and having to have those hard conversations. And I think that's what's instigated the change. And I think although we see it as being a massive rebuild, I don't think there's ever been a midfield rebuild the size of it, from what I can remember in the history of the Premier League, where you've just basically emptied out nearly everyone and brought literally all new in, or what potentially might happen. But I think this deal, looking at it, I think it's a great deal all around for everyone involved.
Yeah. But the thing about it is, for me, sorry, Keith, the thing for me is with Henderson, you look at Liverpool's team now, let's say Henderson go, I don't think they're going to sell Henderson and Fabinho. I think it's one or the other. But let's say they sell Hendo. We'll have less bleeding players now than we had at the end of last year. We're screaming for midfielders. Okay, we've got the new two boys in, but we've sold loads. We need numbers. We need quality, not only numbers. We need quality numbers to get back into that top table, top four. Forget about the Europa League. It's in Dublin, the final. We're all Dubs, or we're all like, you know, we're all Irish. Dublin. We want Ireland. We want Liverpool to be in the final. I'm sure we'll try to get there if you can get a ticket. You'd be lucky to get a ticket to get to the final. But there's a lot of games in Europa League to play. There's a lot of football to be played next season. We need players, but we need quality. Not Aldi, not Lidl, not even M&S. We need Harrods type. And the two boys we've signed are Harrods players for me. The top level potential of your man Dominic is, I don't know, different level potential. McAllister's more or less a ready-made meal for an M&S. He's in the microwave for 3 minutes. He's ready to go. But I don't want any more Aldi business. Mellow Aldis, you know, little Aldi, mellow type players. We need quality. It's hard to get quality.
Yeah. But we also need availability as well. And that was one of the big issues. Not just the quality aspect, but it's the availability. And then when we did have some availability, what we thought was quality, there was no quality there. So that needs to change. Now, what I would say to you, though, is that we didn't see this coming. There's no fucking way we saw this coming. There's no way at the end of a season, your club captain, you know, if Klopp really had a thought at the start of this season that Henderson was not going to be involved, you know, bit part, he would have had the conversation at the end of last season to say, listen, Jordan, this is the way it's going to be next year. And I don't think that conversation was had because I don't think it was the intention of the manager. You see how much he's worked, right? If he's thinking, mid-season, just after the end when he's taking his break, that he's going to Saudi Arabia, do you think he comes in that condition? Do you think he comes in and he does all that work beforehand? I don't think he does, to be honest with you. He's walked back in there thinking, all right, I'm playing for my place here. I've seen these lads coming in. I'm making a statement, and I think he made that statement the way he looked when he came in.
Yeah.
And this has come out of the blue. It's come out of the blue, and it's something that he can't necessarily ignore because of the sheer volume and the weight, the volume of the offer that's landed on him. And I think it's caught us cold, to be honest with you. It's the same thing for Fabinho. It's caught us cold. All right. And I do think that. I don't think we were planning for it. I think we were planning for a rebuild, absolutely. I think we're planning to refresh that, and potentially bring in a project, bring in the two boys. Because when you look at McAllister is a Swiss Army knife of a player. You can play him in numerous different positions. Can you still get a 6-year-old out of Fabinho? He probably thinks he could. Maybe Henderson. And if we really need to, we've got McAllister, and then we can mix the stuff around. We bring in a project, and I think Lavia or Thuram or any of these boys, in my eyes, they're not ready made. They're not walking in. They're a bit of a project. Now at this stage, we need a 6. We need an absolute 6. We need a cut and dried.
Casado. You won't pay the money.
Yeah, I don't think we paid the money for him, to be honest with you. I don't think we paid the money for him, but that's what it's looking like now. I do think I can't. It's not that we've been caught with our pants down, because I think a lot of this stuff that's coming out of Saudi Arabia, nobody would have seen coming from a mile off, and it's just the way it is.
We're not even wearing pants. We're not even wearing pants.
You look at all the amount of money that was made when the Chinese did it. Huge amount of money made. Agents. So there's agents being involved. They're poking the fire. There's loads of shit coming from all over the place. I'd say it's a fucking minefield. It's a minefield for the club to try and manage now at the moment. And I don't think we were planning for it, to be honest with you. And I think we're doing a bit of a scrambling exercise.
That's what I'm saying. It's chaotic.
I think they could both go. To be honest.
Yeah. What do you think, Niall? I mean, the Fabinho one is interesting as well, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I honestly, I'm sitting here and I'm looking at it, and I wouldn't be surprised if all 3 went. And I made a comment there after the season ended. Yeah, I made a comment after the end of the season there that I felt that at times we might be forced into a situation where the players we potentially don't want to get rid of, our arm might be put behind our back, and we might have to do it. I felt that it was coming and stuff like that. I know what you're saying there, Keith, about it's a minefield in terms of it's like getting 3 grenades dropped on us instead of 1 and stuff like that. But there's no doubt about that the conversations were being had between Stevie before he went into the role and Jordan and stuff like that. Stevie, there's talk he's bringing Mane in now as well. He knows what he's doing, Stevie. He's not stupid. And I'm sure Jordan had agreed terms and stuff like that, and it was all in the background. These players all go around agreeing terms at times.
Of course they do.
Jordan knew that conversation was coming. Fabinho knows that conversation was coming. And Thiago knows, because of his injuries and stuff like that, that conversation's coming. Dave, you're absolutely right. We can't afford to be bringing in project players at this stage. We're just going to be left further and further behind. We need to bring in proven quality to go in there. And you hear the fan base out there at the moment, and they're talking about now. We all got gassed up when McAllister signed, World Cup winner. People talking about experience in the team. I'm worried about some of these players and who they're going to lean on. Virgil's there, Mo is there, Trent is there. Trent to me is a senior player now, loads of experience. Scales, our Liverpool boy, he knows how to put people straight in that locker room if he has to. McAllister's coming in just after winning a World Cup and stuff like that. How greater experience do you need?
Yeah.
Szoboszlai is coming in. Okay, he might be that unknown entity in terms of his age and stuff like that. They're praising him up to the hilt based on what they've seen in training and stuff like that. But all of a sudden now you have the fan base questioning about these guys who we thought were really good signings, thinking, oh, but what if they don't work out? But what if any player doesn't work out? You can't build your team or your philosophy against bringing in a player. I mean, are we saying that we haven't done our due diligence? Are we saying McAllister is not the player that we think he is, and that Szoboszlai can't be the player that we think he is? It's madness. The flip-flopping at the moment is crazy. We all knew we needed a midfield rebuild. We all knew the likes of Keita going and Ox going really didn't have an impact on that. Let's be honest. They rarely played. So they were just passengers that we were carrying. A couple of players have come back that were on loan and stuff like that. Tyler Morton has gone in there. Don't want to disrespect any players. Harvey's still there and stuff like that and all, So
Katie Gordon's back from training. But I mean,
but we'll see what happens. I mean, this is where we talk about the drop off in quality and stuff like that and all, We'd love to go out and buy a Casado. We know the club is not about that. Even if both boys go, even if all 3 boys go, what are you talking best case? 60, 70 million maybe. We'd still have to find
Which
another 30
it's
million.
not much money for that. Those three, at one stage, that was our midfield. That was our classic three amigos in midfield. There you go.
Well, I mean, you go back 3 years ago. You're talking what?
Yeah.
Close to 200 million, maybe, if you were talking about and stuff like that. And then you have these idiots on TalkSport like Jermaine Pennant and all talking about.
I don't listen to those idiots.
You know what I mean? Oh, it's Jordan Henderson and stuff like that. Get a grip, mate. This guy has won everything at Liverpool. Have a little bit of respect there and stuff like that. And he would be a fantastic capture for the Saudi League. And then, of course, as Keith alluded to as well, you have the Saudi team now coming out with cap in hand going, oh, we only have a budget. What did you do? Shut down 5 of the oil rigs at the side of the training ground or something like that? Give it a break. Give it a break. You only have a budget. If you want these players,
they're throwing that is because his head is turned and they have his head turned and then they play silly buggers. You know what I mean? That's the only reason they're doing that. As far as they're concerned, he wants to come, and now they're putting on the poor mouth.
Listen, let's be honest here. If we know Jordan Henderson would be absolutely happy to stay, and he would be absolutely happy to go. He's that type of human being. If Jordan Henderson has to stay and play for Liverpool, he'll stay and play for Liverpool. He's a fantastic player. He still has plenty to offer the team at certain moments and certain times and stuff like that and all. And that's what's been part of being a squad.
He's doing some fucking job though at tarnishing his legacy. He's doing, like there's a way to go out and there's a way to fucking go out and there's a place to go and there's a place to go. And listen, to be honest with you, like I think if anyone is to sit down and kind of put their hand on their heart and say, with the amount of money that's been allegedly thrown around the place, and you look at it and you say, right, I've got a family, and people try and throw out the stuff and say, yeah, but how much money is he making now as it is, and how much money does he need, and principles and morals and all that kind of stuff. Like, you got to appreciate as well that, all he knows is football since he started off. All he knows is football, right? And he would have got into that Sunderland side when he was relatively young, probably was on really good wage and got used to spending money. And then he moves up through the gears and all of a sudden then he's playing for Liverpool and he's got an X amount of money. And he's used to spend an amount of money. And his wife's used to spend an amount of money, okay? And their lifestyle dictates they spend a huge amount of money. And then he's got
like you, Keith.
And then you look at it and you say, right, his career from when he starts to making really good money, right, 25 to maybe 33, okay, where he's on really good wage, right, that's 8 years. But you don't know what they're spending. And their lifestyles are so rich. So they have to turn around and say, if I want this lifestyle to come in, and like you can pass judgment there to beat the band, I don't give a fuck, right? But if you're kind of saying, well, I'm used to spending 100 grand a year, I'm used to spending 200 grand a year, because this is what the wife and the kids need and the private schools and all this kind of stuff's going on, well then I need to be able to protect that. And if he hasn't been investing money and someone turns around and says, okay, tax-free 350k, 400k, right? And you'll get it for 3 years, a week. And that's you set up, and that's your kids set up, and that's your kids set up, And like, people have to look at that, right? And okay, you say, right, for the club would have asked him to step in and do the LGBT thing, right? He would have been approached by the club to say, this is our approach, and we want to do this. And he probably said, yeah, I'm happy enough to be the figurehead for that, which is fine. He's going to have to take that one on the chin if he does go to Saudi Arabia to say, well, that is going to tarnish my reputation. And it is going to tarnish his reputation, But sometimes you've got to think about yourself and think about your family and think about all those kind of things. So it's not simple.
I just think there's an obscenity, though, Keith. I think there's an obscenity. Do you not think it's obscene?
What?
It's obscene, I think, the money. Do you not think it's ridiculous?
No, I do think it's ridiculous. And I do think it's obscene, right? But you're talking about an individual making a decision in terms of what they think they need to do for their family and maybe their wider family based around their lifestyle. And their lifestyle is not our lifestyle. Their lifestyle is above and beyond what our lifestyle is. And it's a very staggered. So I can go and work until I'm 55, 60, and 60, whatever else it is if I want to, and make close to what I'm making now at the moment. Like, his wages will drop off the end of a cliff in the next 3 years. End off, right? They drop off the edge of a cliff. Now, I don't know what he has in reserve. I don't know but he needs to put himself and say, right, if I'm going to live another 30 or 40 years, the way I'm living now at the moment, I need a nest egg. And what better nest egg than to go to Saudi Arabia for 3 years? And
that's why they're all doing it. That's why they're all fucking. That's why they went to China. That's why all the Brazilians went to China.
It's very easy for anybody to stand here and say, if I was in that position, well then, I would take the moral high ground and I would say, I don't want your money, I'm going to stay where I am. Like, he probably doesn't have the same maybe I'm sure he does, but does he have the exact same moral investment that a lot of supporters who are so mad into the club do? Yes, he does. He's played, heart on his sleeve, all the rest, but he's not from Liverpool.
You have to remember, lads, the World Cup was in Qatar, and if a lot of them would have took moral high grounds, none of them would have been playing in the bleeding World Cup either.
They don't.
You know what I mean?
So,
listen, if we were all to take the moral high ground and everything, we'd have no laptops, no phones, there'd be no StreamYard, we wouldn't be wearing any clothes, we'd be back living as cavemen hunting.
Yeah.
Like, let's be clear about this. You can't just go to one end of the extreme and sit on the moral high ground, and on the other end of the extreme go, yeah, well, it's all cool here with my iPhone that's made in factories with suicide nets outside the windows and all sorts of stuff. Give it a rest. Give it a rest.
Yeah.
Listen, we all know the situation. The situation is he has a chance to gain generational wealth there for his kids, their kids, and probably their kids. And I think that's the way he's thinking, and you can't fault him for that. And at the end of the day, the clever thing about this is when a player knows it's time and he makes that change and he makes that decision, you can only embrace that and you know, you can commend it and stuff like that. He knows now was probably the right time to get out of town. He has seen what was said last year. He has seen his own performances last year. He has seen what teams are now doing in this division. The Aston Villas of this world, the Newcastles of this world, what Arsenal are doing, what Chelsea are going to do and stuff like that. And he's recognising the fact that it's now, he's had his time there. He's won every trophy. He's been fantastic for us as a captain. And he sees what's coming in the Premier League in terms of these teams that are just going to be that level behind him and above him and stuff like that. And he knows it's time to go before they force him and tell him it's time to go. And this is a conversation that was had. He's recognised it. And as I said, it's a fantastic deal all around. And listen, just because he takes that deal and goes to Saudi, that doesn't mean it changes his opinion on all that other stuff. He hasn't suddenly taken a deal to go to Saudi and suddenly become homophobic or something like that. You know what I mean? His moral high ground and his judgment on that, he's been a fantastic ambassador. And I'd like to point out as well, Liverpool as a football club has been at the forefront of all this stuff. He has been, Dave, I think you mentioned last night with Jack, he was the captain's captain in the Premier League during the pandemic and all these kind of things and stuff like that. Yeah. He's a fantastic human being. He's a great representative for our club. He will be welcome back in years to come, maybe in an ambassador role or a coaching role or whatever it is and stuff like that. His status is absolutely cemented as a legend of the club, and nothing's going to tarnish that. And like you hear people today and all talking about that, it's absolutely ridiculous to be, coming in. None of us know. Anyone walks into your house tonight and says, Dave or Keith, I'm going to offer you 5 times your wage now, but I want you to go here. Yeah, like, is your head not going to be turned? You're not going to consider it. You're not going to look at all the different things and stuff like that. It's absolute nonsense, and it's just a madness in the fan base. Everyone has wanted this. Everyone has wanted this change. Everyone said we needed this rebuild. And
he was a hated figure in the fan base. The fan base
been fucking hammering him for 2 seasons.
He was being fucking hammered for the last. I did a video on Twitter recently, Keith. You seen it? You put a comment in on it. I mean, when he came in from Sunderland, he was even leaving to go to Fulham, remember? He was gone.
He was hammered. He was hammered all the way up to 2018. I made a video the other night saying, in 2018, I think it was April, we were playing Southampton. I was sitting in Carragher's bar in New York watching the match. Luis Garcia was doing a signing that day in the bar. And we went and watched the match. And I think we were 1-0 down and we couldn't finish our dinner. And he brought on Jordan Henderson. And I looked at the guy beside me and I said, we need a goal and we need a guy to create something. And he's bringing on Jordan Henderson. And Jordan scored a cracking goal that day. And I think he got an assist as well.
Yeah.
And I turned around to him and I said, I'll never question Jordan Henderson again. And I haven't till this day. Now, are we critical about his performances at times and things that have happened in time and stuff like that?
That's football.
That's part of football. That's part of having an opinion and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I think what's happened is the work that FSG and that Jurgen Klopp should have done over the last 6 windows weren't done, and now it's come back and now it has to be done, and that's it. And now is the time. Now is the time to do it. There's no great time to lose someone. And for all those people who are losing their mind, one day Mo Salah will leave this club. One day
Jurgen Klopp will leave the club.
One day Jurgen Klopp will leave this club. And the thing about it, as you mentioned, Dave, about the project and stuff like that, we can't afford a project at the moment. Virgil van Dijk is getting older. Mo Salah's getting older. All these players are getting older. We're binning off prime years of their careers by getting them to accept projects. And I said, some of these guys will come knocking. And you know, and I know, Mo Salah, when he re-signed for this club, People talk about money and stuff like that. He sat down with FSG and with Jurgen Klopp, and he wanted to know what the 5-year plan was. And you can bet your bottom dollar the 5-year plan wasn't to be playing Thursday night football in the Alps in a freezing cold fucking winter night. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And that's the disappointment. We've seen all the tweets that went out at the end of the season. They were the signal of what needed to be done. Now it's time to fix up and get it done.
We've been talking about this, Niall, I'm sure you have, Keith, Ivan, Jack, the whole lot for the last few years. We've missed windows. We've missed opportunities, and it's coming back to haunt us right now. We've missed opportunities all over the shop. We've problems in defence that year. We are lucky with Alisson's header to get top 4. How we did the top 4, I don't know that year. That was just pure. Like, we left that late. That was a mistake of a year. We didn't really learn from that, Niall or Keith. You know what I mean? We didn't really learn from it.
No,
we brought in Hackbo.
Yeah.
Do I say he's going to be he's going to be top. There's no doubt about it. We brought in these two boys.
Yeah,
but there's so much surgery to be done.
There is.
You know what I mean?
Not time. Yeah, it's probably not time to go into it all now. But you know, the entire management structure is complicit there, and I'd even throw Klopp into the mix and saying, you know, he's potentially been over loyal at times. You know. And he hasn't necessarily gone cap in hand, screaming, banging on the door, saying, I need fucking 50 mil here, 100 mil there. And he's kind of gone, you know what, I'm all right because of the way he is, you know. And I think he's now realised, you know, there's major surgery required, which is fine. Now, major surgery for him is not a Chelsea major surgery where they buy 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 players and ship off 5, 6, 7. That's not major surgery for Klopp. Major surgery for Klopp is maybe what we've done this season, right, in terms of the outgoings. That is fucking major surgery as far as Klopp is concerned.
Plus wage bill goes down as well.
You don't see it. You know what I mean? I'm just saying you don't see it. But I do think this stuff now has come out of left field, to be honest with you, and it's really upset the apple cart in terms of what the plans were. It really has, to be honest with you. From my perspective, the positive thing is that, you know, I think there's been a realisation across the club, top to bottom, and potentially more importantly with Klopp, because I think if Klopp really does go cap in hand, looking for finances, he gets it, to be honest with you. I think he's realised, you know what, if I want to push on, if I want to stay here, if I want to build a second legacy, well, then I need to do this, right? And I think the support was there to do it. So he shipped out what he shipped out. He's brought in what he's brought in, okay? Great dealing, great amount of money spent. I think there was another 1 or 2 to come in, to be honest with you. Now that 1 or 2 looks like it's probably going to be 3 or 4. Now, you know, I think we have to have a 6, and we have to have a world-class 6 in there. And I think we have to have a centre half, to be honest with you. I think we can make the rest work, to be honest with you. But I do think we need to have a 6.
But are you saying quality 6 and centre half?
No,
starters,
quality 6.
Not like mellows. None of this mellow business.
No, absolutely not. Have to be starters. Now, if Fabinho goes for 40 and Henderson goes for 13 or 14 or 15, whatever else it is, you know, 45, 50 million, I still think there was another 40 million there, you know, for us to spend. You're looking at maybe a kitty of close to 80, 90 million there. I think that gets us. I think that, listen, if you go around the world, you go back a couple of years, that position was a difficult position to fill, that DM position. I think there's a lot of guys out there now who could do that job. And what we want is legs. It's legs. It's getting around the pitch. We've enough firepower to win games. We've enough firepower to win games. You don't want a box-to-box lad who can do fucking everything. You want a lad who's going to break up, keep it simple, know where to be, position, right? Chase, Harry, fucking press. That's what we need. And then there's enough fucking firepower up front to go win football matches. What we need to do is to stop it being a game of basketball whereby, you know, we're turned over very quickly and the ball over the top, ball down the channel, and we're in all sorts of shite because we've nobody to challenge the midfield and we're allowing them to have head of football with Trent pushed on, with Robbo pushed on, and you've got 3 or 4 against two lads at the back. That's what we need to stop. And if we get back to that, I think we're going to be a far more of a competitive footballer. So we need a 6. We need a fucking 6. That's the most priority now is a 6. I think even without Henderson going or even Fabinho going, we need a fucking 6, to be honest with you. Because I don't think Fabinho's legs are season worthy in any way, to be honest with you.
That was the scary thing, Keith, wasn't it? And Dave as well. This talk of like Fabinho needing legs around him and stuff like that. We can't carry people and stuff like that. And then the talk of bringing in Lavia as the 6 and the talk of Fabinho might drop into defence then as a central defender. And just the thought of all these adjustments were just going through my mind going, here we go again. We're going to penny pinch here on 2 boys that we brought in. We're going to bin off guys' prime years again. And we're going to start adjusting and trying to make things fit and all this kind of thing. And it just sounded horrible. So now they know what they have to do. Now we're in the serious business of fixing up. And you know, this might be the trigger that we needed, because, as I said, everything around us at the moment is improving and improving greatly. And like, we were way off the pace last year, way off the pace.
But I mean, look, lads, I mean, like, I just think, I said at the start of it, I just think, obviously, this Saudi Arabian talk, Thiago's thrown in there as well. The three amigos are involved in it. It's chaotic. Now, I don't know how much Klopp was. Obviously, Klopp probably thought you get another year out of these boys. He must have thought you get at least another year. If you could sell one of them for a few quid, like a Fabinho for 40 million, I think it'd be good business for the club if they can get a 6 to fill it in. Well, who's out there? Who's out there for 40, 50? There's nobody out there that can do his job.
Yeah. He's not shipping out the two primary leaders of the football club from a dressing room perspective in one fucking window. He's
Milner
not fucking doing that. Milner and Hendo. He's not fucking doing that. There has to be a position, and you need one to carry on that tradition. You need somebody to handhold and say, right, this is where we're going. So there's no way both of those go out in the one window. So that's come from left field. Yes, we knew about Milner. Conversations were had. We'd like to stay on. This is the offer. Milner's gone, listen, you know what? I actually want to play a bit more football before I finish up. I've only got a limited amount of time. He's gone off. He's been open and honest about that. The deal was good, but he just wants to play a bit more football. Absolutely fine. So then it's, it's left for Henderson then to say, right, you're the custodian then at this stage. Yes, and we know you're not going to be there for the next 3 years playing as much football as you played, but there's a transition period and you need to look after the dressing room as we go through that transition period. And I'm sure that conversation was had. And if something's come in from left field and then we're all up in the air. I'm not as worried about leaders in the dressing room. I think Niall said it earlier on, 100%. There's lads in there. You've got Robbo, captain of his country. You've got Van Dijk, captain of his country.
Yeah. Mo.
You've got Trent, take a step on. You've got Alisson, although he doesn't necessarily, but he is, he's a senior international. I also think Klopp is not too far away from the dressing room, lads. He's not too far away from the dressing room. No. He's very close with all the players, and I think that's it. So I'm not massively worried about that. McAllister, World Cup winner, he's going to bring a certain degree of experience into a dressing room like that as well. I'm not massively worried about that, to be honest with you. Yes, he is a loss, but I do think it's something we can get over, to be honest with you.
And I think we need a reaction from the club here. Do you not think, lads? We need a reaction.
Do you know what it is? I look back at last season, lads, and when we needed a reaction from these guys to be leaders and stuff like that, they didn't step up. It didn't happen at the end of the day. And I think now the opportunity is a massive opportunity here for Trent now. Trent in 3 years' time could be the captain of Liverpool Football Club if he steps up and does the right thing. I think he's more than capable. We've seen a number of times Robbo is the one who gets in people's faces and gets things going. You see him with Van Dijk, that passiveness of him needs to change now. He needs to get proper raw about his job. And also Mo Salah needs to stop smiling and he needs to get really serious about his job as well. And I think that's where it needs to step up. That spine going through that team there. And as I said already, you've got McAllister in there, World Cup winner. Like, you know what I mean? I don't think people are going to need to be telling him his job or what's expected. He knows what's expected. He's been around some of the top players in the world to bring Argentina a World Cup, and he was a huge part in that as well. He wasn't a passenger. And I think it's really, really important that we understand that these lads now who shied away last season, think of Virgil van Dijk last season, and many times the Virgil van Dijk last season go missing. He needs to step up now, big time. And he needs to show the Virgil van Dijk that he was.
Half though there. No, bring in a centre half there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Possibly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There was talk about Hanko or Feyenoord. David Hanko. I did a video about 2 months ago on him, and that seems to have died, but he's a really top quality. They won the Air Division with in Holland. Top, he had a great season last year, I'm sure. All the Dutch boys, Hackbone, Van Dijk can know about him, but
you need legs. You need legs who can get around the pitch and cook in that position. That's what you need. Like if you look at McAllister will put his foot in, but he'll also retain the football. He doesn't lose the football. If we're dropping back Szoboszlai back into that position, again, he's a ball carrier. He doesn't lose possession. He's
a bit of shithousery about him, hasn't he, Big Dom? He's a bit of fucking shithousery about him.
But he's also the top fucking 5 or 10 percentile in Germany last season for fucking pressing. He's a
tracks back and everything. He's very good track
and speed as well. He's top 10 for speed as well, wasn't he? 35 kilometers an hour or something. Yeah, so but also you see him. Yeah, you see him Keith in training as well the other day. He's not smiling or joking. He's very serious about his business. There's no messing about when that guy's on the pitch. He's very, very serious about his work, and for a guy of his age and stuff like that.
22.
I think it's a watershed moment for Liverpool now, and I think certain players need to step up. I mean, as I said last year, we've seen it. I mean, people forget as well. If you look at the first 10 games of the season last season, we were being carried by a couple of 18-year-olds. You know, Harvey Elliott at one stage was carrying the team. Bietic was carrying the team at one stage. Where were all these international captains? Where were all these guys who were supposed to step in and lead by example and stuff like that? They now need to fix up, and it's time to fix up, and that's the way it is. And these conversations about experience and someone to lean on and all that kind of stuff, to me, a lot of that is a lot of mystique and stuff like that. No, you go out there, you do your job, you know what your job is. Your manager is there to lay out what needs to be done. You have a good pre-season, you get stuck in, you get familiar with your surroundings. We have a fantastic training facility. We're at the forefront of everything in terms of sports nutrition and everything else and all. We have our club doctor in. We have our club doctor in now from the start and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, man, George is in as well as the director, director of football and all that kind of stuff. We're ready to go. We just need to put a few more pieces in place and do what needs to be done, fix up, and let's get going again. Thursday night football for us lads is
we've got an extra 7,000 fans singing our bloody name.
Yeah,
hopefully
absolutely. Another big thing for me, and I know we're kind of just looking a little bit, kind of gazing through the the crystal ball. But if you don't start that league well, right, you can fucking forget about it, right? So poor starts that league, apart from maybe City doing it one year. To be honest with you, where they came back to win it. But if you have a mixed match in your first 5 to 6 games where you win one, you lose one, you fucking draw one, you draw one, you win one, you lose one, that's your season, and that's the way that league goes. Because that's the way. Now you need to start. And we think about our first 3 games: Chelsea away, and we've got Newcastle away. We need to fucking start. We need to have the ground running with a settled side. Now I do think we've an opportunity to catch Chelsea on the hop. An opportunity. That's all it is. You don't know what way they're going to respond, but they're going to be a mixed match of a team trying to find their feet. I think
that's
Newcastle
a tricky one, though. That's a tricky opener, you know.
Right,
away at Chelsea, tricky.
Away at Chelsea, home with the home, then away to Newcastle. Like I'm saying, we need, and I guarantee you, one or both of Fabinho and Henderson would have started those fucking games. Certainly would have started against Chelsea.
Keith, I said it last week on the show. If Jordan Henderson sticks around, Jordan Henderson will start at the bridge. There's no doubt about it. Absolutely no doubt about it. And the problem going into that, Dave, as well is, what Chelsea side are we going to play? They could have up to 7 or 8 new players on that pitch. Poch is going in there at the moment. Lots of conversations are being had. They're binning players off left, right and centre. How could we even prepare for a game like that? Who's going to play? I don't have a clue.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, I just think it's chaotic at the moment for Liverpool. It's a bit unusual, but I think it's what we've done in the last 3 years and what we've not done in the last 3 years is coming back to haunt us, lads. We've let too many players run down their contract. The age profile has gone up like bleeding that. You know what I mean? We're bringing down the age profile. We're getting rid of players on big wages, by the way. We pay big wages now at Liverpool. We used to not do it, but we do now. We're right up there in the top 3. And I just think it's coming back to haunt them. I'm hoping they can pull a few rabbits out of hats here. I'm hoping they have some plan to bring in another 2 or 3 players here.
Remember as well, Dave and Keith, we have to do a lot of business this summer and potentially in January, because if we go into next summer, it's going to be a lot of contract renewals are coming up.
Yeah.
Because we're heading into 2025 then, and that's where those contract renewals are due. So what FSG will do is they'll play the get out of jail card again and go, oh, we renewed Virgil's contract and we renewed Mo's contract and we renewed this, that and the other.
Like
we have all that before. And they're all like new players and all this kind of stuff, and we bring in nobody. Look, we know the score. When we win, we never have money. And when we lose, we never have money. So you can't win.
And how attractive are we when Klopp's got 1 year left in his fucking contract? Do the fucking business now. Do the business now while we're still an attractive proposition, while Klopp is still there. Get them fucking in. Just get the lad in. Get the lad to get the 2 lads in.
And if this all works out, the way we hope it's going to work out, and if we get back to where we want to get back to, who knows what might happen with Jurgen Klopp?
I've said it a million times. He's gone in 2026, but I can see a freshness in him, and he's talking about rebuilds. Rebuilds do take more than 3 years to get sorted, lads. A proper rebuild, you're at your level at 3 years. You think he'd walk away and at the level he wants them to be in 2026, say 25, 26, and they're at the level they're winning things? He's not going to believe walk away then. That's where you get your 1 or 2 year extension.
Yeah, with our fucking fan base, give him fucking 3 years. That's the
fucking fan base. I'll give him a 10-year contract.
In a heartbeat, best thing that's happened to him, happens to football, not necessarily in my lifetime. I've seen some really fucking fantastic managers, but certainly in the last 30 years, it's the best thing that's happened to the football club. So
no doubt about it. So, guys, obviously, look, we'll wrap it up now in a minute. It is Friday night, first real show back in. I did one with Jack last night, but I'm going to be doing one every week, getting back into the nitty gritty. Liverpool have a bit of work to do in the transfer market, lads. They really do. They've got to be shopping at least M&S, or maybe even Harrods. But this little and Aldi stuff, it doesn't work. I know it looks good on the plate, lads, but it just doesn't taste the same. Let's be real. We need quality. We need players. We need numbers. We're going to be playing a lot of games next season. Who knows what's going to happen with Hendo? It looks like he's going to go, but you never know. Fabinho, who knows? Thiago, who knows? But a lot of work for Big Jorge. Huge work to Big Jorge. So right now, before we're going to go in about 2 minutes, but it's hard to say what would you expect this season because the window hasn't closed. We could have another 3 players and go, we're going to win the league here. And, we could bring in a Casado and some of that. You never know. But right now, and I said it last night, I would be happy, lads, to get back at the top table. For me, for Liverpool to be back in the top 4 next season, and maybe a bonus of a trophy. The Europa League in Dublin would be lovely, of course, going to be sentimental and all that. But top 4 is an absolute must. We can't be out of Champions League for 2 seasons in a row. We just can't afford to. So I think number 1 is get back into the top table. Bonus as a cup. What do you think?
Not for me. For me, my feeling is, going through the season every week in, week out, I expect my team to win week in, week out. And if that's my expectation, I expect my team to be in the title race. And if it's not in the title race, I'm really disappointed. And especially at the fact that we're in the Europa League, where we're going to be able to recycle players out because that league doesn't really start, let's be honest, in February. So we'll have a 1 game a week situation. And if we can't go with our top players and stuff like that, if we can't do that, it's going to be a real problem. Now, again, it depends on who goes at the moment and who's going to come in and the quality of what we bring in and all those things. But my expectation as a fan of Liverpool Football Club, we should be always in a title race and seeking silverware, without a doubt.
We should be, but I'm also a realist to say I've seen us not being. Like last year, we were a shit
show.
I've
seen it for 30 years.
I thought we were going to win the league last year, Niall.
Yeah.
I thought we were going to win the league last year. When we beat City in the bleeding Community Shield, I thought we were going to win the league.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I think next season could be a season that if we're there or thereabouts, you could literally have 3 or 4 teams, after Christmas being there or thereabouts going for the league. To be honest with you, I think there's going to be and City have been very quiet. To be honest with you, I think they could be a bit of a transition for them. To be honest with you, haven't been so successful last year, losing a lot of key players who step up for them in big games. I expect them to come back a little bit. It's really just a matter of whether those teams who are behind can step into that breach. I'm with Niall. I don't think we're going to be as bad as we were last year, to be honest with you. However, the start is fucking imperative. The start is imperative, Like, you can go and get a couple of draws and a win out of our first 3. I think that's all right because we've got a couple of hard games out of the way. But then we need to go on a strong run, to be honest with you. We have the firepower to go on strong runs. We've got the firepower to win most games, Niall, as Niall has alluded to. We absolutely have. But we need to sort out the shite. We need to sort out the concession of fucking piss easy goals on a regular basis, giving teams 2 goals head starts. We've got to stop that, And if we can be back to where we were in terms of being an extremely difficult team to score against,
especially away from home, lads. Key to me is away from home. Champions League at home, Championship away. I said it all last season. Our away form was fucking relegation zone. If we were turned the away form into home form, we would have been fucking relegated.
Yeah.
So.
That's the steal
what you're talking about. That's the steal in midfield. Yeah. That's the steal away from home, On a Wednesday, a wet bleeding Wednesday tour. Will it be probably a Sunday night or Thursday night in the Europa League, whatever it is? We need steel in that team. That McAllister will give us some of that, I'm sure. Big Dom will give us some sort of shithousery, of course, but we need a bit more. We need more.
5 or 6 games after Thursday night football is at home. So, which we've been very lucky in that regard. So we need to fucking double down and maximize, the potential and the opportunities that's provided with us. So every match, 5 out of the 6 matches we play in the Europa League, we're at home. The match after. So the Sunday we're at home, So that could be fucking massive for us. To be honest.
Just looking at that comment there, Dave, from LFC today. Fair play to you, man. I don't believe that at all. We're just after signing a World Cup winner, and we're playing Thursday night football. We're not a stepping stone for anyone. Let's be clear about that. We're Liverpool Football Club. History, legacy, all that kind of stuff. It's an absolute pleasure to put on that shirt and walk down that tunnel. It's a privilege. And it's also an obligation. We're not a stepping stone for anyone at this stage. As I said, we're after bringing in a World Cup winner who stood shoulder to shoulder with Lionel Messi and raised the World Cup, who's come to Liverpool Football Club on the back of a disappointing season and Thursday night football. Let that sit in. Let that sit in.
Yeah, no, you're right. Now, look, we'll get back. I still think there's a bit of work to do. We still need to get a few quid out of FSG. Let the right players go and let the deals go. We need a bit of work to do. I'd like a good pre-season. I was hoping we'd have all our deals done and have them on the pre-season. I think that was Klopp's idea. Have 3 or 4 players signed and get them on the bleeding plane Saturday, because it's easier to integrate, isn't it? They're bringing their families and abroad and stuff like that. It's much easier. It's nice to have the 2 boys in early, but I still think there's work to be done. Niall, it has been absolutely fantastic. Hope you enjoy your weekend. Keith, back at it, baby. We'll be back again next week. Niall, you can come on anytime you want. You're an absolute legend.
Yeah, just hit me up anytime you need me. I'm here.
So have you anything coming up on the upper tier?
Yeah, I have. We're doing a little bit of pro wrestling on it at the moment and stuff like that to fill a bit of a void. But on Monday I'm going to be doing a show on Saudi Arabia, taking a deep dive into it and where I see it going and what it means. I know you guys have been talking about the Super League and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. So I'm going to do a show 8 o'clock on Monday. You're more than welcome to come on if you're free and have a deep dive into Saudi Arabia, what it means, and what it means to that kid that sits at the wall kicking ball at 6 years of age with dreams of becoming the next Robbie Fowler or whatever it is, or Roy Keane, and what this whole move from Saudi Arabia and this whole Pro League means for that situation stuff. So might get a bit romantic and might get a bit poetic, but hey, that's the way we do it, isn't it?
Sounds good.
Hey, Keith, have you any plans for the weekend? You're going to go easy for a few beers, or are you up there doing something with the family?
No, we've got a match. So we're trialing now at the moment. So we've got in-house matches now.
Stella Maris,
yeah. So 3 teams under 17s now. So we're just trying to get those all amalgamated over the next couple of weeks. So
I think I know. Keith, I think I know a lad who might be playing for you, and Andrew McCuminsky, goalkeeper.
Is he red-haired?
No, he's black hair. He's only new. He came in, I think, from Malahide or something like that. I know. He's under 7. I think he's under 17 or under 16 at the moment. He was training the other night with the under 19s actually.
Yeah,
His dad is Darren. His dad is Darren, who does the Thursday night show with me. Darren McCuminsky.
Yeah, Darren. Yeah, United fan, is he?
Well, listen, tell him to if he sees me, I'll be down there now Sunday and next Monday and Wednesday. If he's down there, tell him to pop over and say hello.
Yeah, absolutely. So, absolutely. Yeah, he's a great keeper. He's a great keeper.
Is he? Well, if he's playing with the 19th, then I probably won't get anywhere near him, to be honest with you. So
he only trained with him the other night, but he's actually he's either under 16s or under 17s at the moment. But he's a great kid, and he's as mad as a brush because you have to be a goalkeeper. He loves goalkeepers. Yeah.
True.
Listen, look, I'll see you. Best of luck. All right, enjoy your weekend.
Keith, thank you very much. See you next week, kid. Cheers.
Cheers, fellas. Good luck. Bye-bye.
Niall, thank you. Talk to you soon. Cheers, guys, and talk to you. Stay safe. You never walk alone. Thanks, comments. Cheers.